Welcome back, math heads. In the last video, the video that we just did, I showed you polygons. Polygons are shapes that you have been learning about since you were in preschool. You know the names of them, you know the sounds of them. If we go over them again really quickly, we have triangles and quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, octagons. And we talk about sides and vertices on all of these shapes. Well, today we're going to start learning about a different kind of shape. The shapes that we call three-dimensional, okay? So I actually have a story that I loved to read in the classroom. It's called Captain Invincible and the Space Shapes. And it's sort of gonna help us learn about those shapes. These are actually the shapes that we see in our houses. If you think about your dishwasher is not flat. It's not drawn on paper. Your dishwasher is actually more like a cube. You open it, you can put things in it, there's space inside it. So the shapes that we're learning about today have space inside them. And they're three-dimensional. That means they can come out at us. So when I look around my room, my couch is three-dimensional. It's made out of rectangular shaped cubes and regular cubes. And when I look at the base of a lamp, it's usually a shape, whether it's a sphere or whether it's a pyramid base. It's we use different words for those types of shapes. So get cozy because this is a really fun story. Captain Invincible and the Space Shapes. I'm Captain Invincible, king of the skies. With my space dog Comet, I've conquered galaxies. We're fearless in our spaceship, the Hawk, but now we must return to Earth. Getting home will be tricky. Danger lurks at every turn, but our space shapes will help us get there. So this is kind of a neat chart right here because it shows these are his space shapes, but it shows similarities. It shows that, all these shapes have that similar shape of a square that we've talked about. And all these shapes have that similar shape of a circle somewhere on them. Oh no, it's a meteor shower. Watch out. If the rocks hit us, we'll never make it home. Comet, push the first button after the square. That's the one, the cube. So here's the square, and he says, Comet, push the first button. So that would be that shape right there, which is the cube. So let's look at the cube. The radar beams from our directional cube will help us find a path to safety. Good thing the 6 square faces of the cube were working properly. It takes more than space rocks to stop Captain Invincible. Hey, I did all the work. So let's look at that cube for a minute. Here it is. And he said the 6 faces. That's what we call the flat sides of these shapes. We call them faces, which is why if you look closely, there's a tiny little Sharpie face drawn on each face of this cube. And there's actually 6 of them. So look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't call these sides. We call them faces. Then this cube has something called edges. We don't call them sides or lines. We call these edges. And these edges are where 2 faces go together. But there are also vertices. The vertices are the points of these shapes, okay? So this was the first space shape that was used. It was the cube. Let's see. Now, if we were in the classroom, I would have one of you come up and hold this. but we're not. Let's see what's next. That's odd. The stars are getting fuzzy. It's almost as if we're floating into a cloud of poison gas. Must not black out. Must try the cone. We're going to be okay, Comet. The cone will pull the gas in through its base, shaped like a circle, and send out clean air through its tip. Ah, good as new. So let's look at our cone. Here it is. So cone is interesting because it actually only has one face, and it's at the bottom. And it's a circle-shaped face. And then the cone has one edge right here from the flat surface. But then otherwise, it has this rounded edge, and it only has one vertex right at the top. We see cones all the time. Party hats, construction cones, ice cream cones. So cones we see in real life all the time too. Now, we can just relax and, what's the matter, Comet? Woof, woof, woof. Oh, that's just a flying saucer. A flying saucer? Ah! Only one chance, the pyramid. The square base holds it steady while the four triangle-shaped faces come together and shoot a sonic beam that will send that alien ship back where it belongs, the other side of the universe. So when we look at a pyramid, it's very different from a cone, actually. It has some similarities in that it has that vertex at the top. However, if you look at the face, the flat faces on a pyramid and a cone, they're very different. One is a circle shape, one is a square shape. The other thing you'll notice about a pyramid is that it has sides that are faces also. So a pyramid actually has 5 sides. 5 faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you had to say what shapes they were, you would say 4 of them are triangle-shaped faces, and 1 is a square face. So it's a little bit different. It also has more vertices than our friend here, the cone, did. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, our cone only had one edge around the bottom. Pyramid has lots. Look, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 along the bottom, but then it also has 5, 6, 7, 8 up around its other faces. So that's why when we do math with 3-dimensional shapes, you really need to hold it. A lot of times in the classroom when we would be doing our math pages or working on our math books or doing our math jobs, kids would have these at their tables because you really need to feel what the shape feels like. Just looking at it doesn't help you a lot of times, and especially in first grade. You need to hold it in your hand. We're almost back to Earth now, Comet. We'll be fine as long as we don't run into a galactic beast. Don't worry, Comet. First, we'll send out the cylinder. The circle-shaped base will open up to release a flying sphere. Whew, that took care of that beast. So here they used 2 more shapes. Our flying sphere got lost in room 5. Not sure what happened to it. But here is the cylinder. So the cylinder has 2 faces. 1, 2. They're both circle shaped. It has 2 edges, a round edge on top, a round edge on the bottom. No vertices though, if you notice. And it would have shot like a tube the sphere out. A sphere, of course, is a ball. So if you think about a ball, bouncy ball, soccer ball, any ball that you have at your house, I even have little spheres on my bracelet right here. Spheres have no faces, no edges, and no vertices. So that's always an interesting sort of shape when it doesn't have any of those parts to it. Finally, there's the landing pad. So we hit the rectangular prism button to release the landing gear. And the gear's out. We're almost there. Almost. Hey! Crash. What's going on? Asked Dad. You woke everyone up. Hey, said Brad. Look at your spaceship. It's all broken. Go to bed, Sam, Mom said, yawning. You can clean up this mess tomorrow. Tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll be Captain Stupendous, King of the Seas. So, the last shape that they used was a rectangular prism. And it gets the name rectangular prism because four of its faces are rectangular shaped. And then two of these, on this rectangular prism, the end two faces are actually square shaped, but they don't necessarily have to be. This is probably the most popular if you look around your house, because if you think about it, your refrigerator is a rectangular prism, your dishwasher, like we talked about before. Most of our sinks are actually rectangular prisms if you look at their shape. Even our TVs are most definitely rectangular prisms. They're skinny, but they're still three-dimensional. They still have space inside. So it's fun to look around the house and kind of sort things that you find. Just sitting here in this room right now while I'm doing this with you guys, I have the markers from the poster. Well, these happen to be cylinders. They don't look exactly like this, but if you look at the top and the bottom, they have circle faces, right? And then they have this curved edge that goes all the way around. Now, that's the other thing we have to think about when we're thinking about three-dimensional shapes. And those of you who are builders with Legos are all three-dimensional shapes. So you're really good at using those. The one thing when we talk about three-dimensional shapes, we talk about if they slide or if they roll. So there's a very big difference between a shape that slides and a shape that rolls. So I'm going to see if I can kind of show you. You're on this little stool right now. It's kind of tricky. Okay, so like I said, I lost the sphere. Really sorry about that. And we know that balls roll, or a sphere would roll. But the other shapes that would roll are these two. The reason we know that is because they have a rounded edge. So watch, here goes the cylinder. It's going to roll on by. And here goes my cone. It will roll around too, right? It will roll on that curve. Now, what do I mean by shapes that slide? Well, a shape that slide has to have a face. So these two, even though they roll, if I put them on their side, they actually can slide too. Look, slide back and forth. They slide. This one slides back and forth. Okay, so these two are kind of lucky because they slide and roll. A sphere will only roll. And then we get into our poor three-dimensional shapes that only slide. These guys don't have any round edges. So all they can do is slide around on their flat faces. Okay. So three-dimensional shapes are really fun to work with. I know in our class we love them because that's what we would build with. And if you think about it, on our building days and our play days, all of the different stations had three-dimensional shapes. We had the Lego table, we had the wooden blocks that Bailey loved, we had the cup towers that I know Bianca loved, And those cups are three-dimensional shapes also. They're very similar to a cylinder. So it's just something else to think about when it comes to geometry. So that was, if we were in the classroom, we'd be moving around a lot and using a lot of blocks. So that's what I want you to do, is build a little bit and just think for a second to yourself, what shape is this? What are the faces on it? Does it roll? Does it slide? Those are all those math questions that as we get older get more and more interesting. Okay? So thank you for learning about shapes with me today. I love you and I miss you. I wish we were in room 5 doing this, but you know, there's no place like home. Bye.